To make innovation work, it needs to be aligned with strategy.
Strategy.
That's why so many companies use strategic fit as a decision criterion. But when you ask a company, can you define your strategy? They can describe it, they can debate it, they sometimes can even score it, but they cannot show it. So most of the time strategy stays vague. That's a big problem, and I think that's the starting point for so many bad decisions in innovation management. Hi, my name is Felix. I work with over 300 companies in innovation and strategy, and this is a recurring problem. Companies typically cannot show you their strategy. They can show you the mission statement and the vision of the company, but they cannot show you how everything really works together to support that vision. When you ask a company for their strategy, they can give you some lists. These are our markets. These are our customers. They can show you some slide decks. And some companies, they can even show you maybe a business model canvas. To be fair, the business model canvas is designed as a strategy tool, as a visual strategy tool. Alexander Osterwalder designed it that you draw your business model and you explain how everything works together. But in reality, what most companies are doing is they fill it out as a checklist. They go through all these blocks. They say like, this is our value proposition. These are our channels. These are the revenue streams. They fill out everything, and then when it's filled out, they're done. But filled out boxes are not strategy. When there are no connections, no trade-offs, no reinforcement, you just have categories. You don't have a strategy. So this is where Michael Porter comes in. He did not only say strategy is not about being better, it's about being different. Michael Porter is also a visual thinker. He thought of strategy as a system of activities. And the best way to describe this system of activities is to draw them. But he was not the first who was drawing it. There was also Walt Disney in the 1950s who would draw the whole strategy of the Walt Disney Corporation and show how everything works together. He put the movies in the center, and everything around it was TV, music, merchandise, licensing, the Disneyland. And then he was drawing all these connections. How do the individual activities, these strategic activities of the Walt Disney Corporation actually reinforce each other? How do they support each other, creating positive feedback loops? So Walt Disney did not only draw stories, he also drew systems. So let's make this concrete. Michael Porter describes them as activity system maps. And he used the example of IKEA, a company we all know. And what you do is you put the value proposition of IKEA in the center. So affordable, modern, self-assembled furniture is the value proposition of IKEA. And then as a second step around that, you put a few key activities. For example, flat pack design, self-service storage outside the cities, and standardized products. And then later you connect all these things. You say like, okay, how do they support each other? For example, the flat pack design lowers transportation cost. The self-service lowers staff cost. Standardization simplifies operations. So actually everything reinforces the value proposition. And the difference is, it's not a list, it's a system. So when you want to draw this activity system map to have a clear criterion for your strategic fit, what should you include? What you should include is only strategic activities with trade-offs. Strategic activities means you choose this instead of something else. Because if you include everything, it will be a very long list. But you should also include the strategic activities that are disconnected, because these are important visual warning signals. Because now you can see this activity exists, but it stays in isolation. It doesn't reinforce anything. It doesn't support the whole system. And to be frank, most companies are not systems. They're just a collection of things, of projects, initiatives, and ideas. Especially when we talk about innovation, many initiatives stay in isolation. Some are connected, but many are not. So you can use this activity system map to analyze your innovation portfolio. Because many ideas, they look good alone, but they don't fit the system. They just sit there. So the biggest mistake most companies do is they have a lot of ideas, they have a lot of innovation projects, and then they adjust the narrative. Don't do that. This is a diagnostic strategy tool. So you look at the whole picture and say like, okay, we have all these initiatives. Do they actually really support our value proposition? So what you should ask instead, after drawing all this, what actually reinforces each other? Where are the gaps? Where are the weak links? The one where we adjusted the narrative, but actually it's not that strong, it's not that convincing. Where do activities stand alone, and where do we just carry their weight? Because every new initiative, every activity adds complexity, so you have to be strict about them. Otherwise, you're not creating a long-term competitive advantage. And then, after you map the current system, what is the system of the future? What should this look like in 5 years from now? When you draw this future activity system map, you're not going for more ideas, you go for better connections and stronger reinforcement. Strategy is building, but it's also removing. So when you build the activity system map of the future, you should also ask, what can we remove? Maybe there are activities we are doing right now that don't support the whole system, that don't reinforce them. Maybe we should get rid of them. And maybe there are other things, what we call innovation gaps, where we actually need activities to enforce our future value proposition. So you can use an activity system map as a decision filter. So whenever you have a new idea, a new project, place it on the map and see, does it strengthen our system or not? If it sits alone, it's not strategic, because standalone ideas, they don't win, but systems win. So how do you actually do that? Number one, map the status quo, right? Draw the value proposition, your value proposition right now, and your 10 to 15 key activities. So the one that are really strategic, where you have to make trade-offs. And then you draw the connections. Don't lie to yourself here, right? Don't hide the gaps. Show if there's a real connection or if it's not a real connection, make that explicit, and then design the activity system map of the future, 5 or more years in the future. How will your value proposition change, and what are the innovation gaps? Where do we actually need activities, strategic activities, that would reinforce our future value proposition? And when you did this, you have a very strong decision criterion for new innovation initiatives to see, is there a real strategic fit or not? You visually can see that, so you cannot lie to yourself and adjust the narrative. If you want to learn more about innovation management, follow my newsletter, The Psychology of Innovation, with weekly tools and frameworks for modern leaders. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.